Hey, you cunts, welcome back. I'm not in the kitchen this week. Got too much shit going on. Had some little bits of fucking footage I put together last week. I was just basically grilling a fucking steak. I just wanted to go over a few little talking points for you fucking douchebags who don't know how to cook a steak. Um, to to start off, I should say I'm not a fucking chef. I don't ever claim to be. I cook steak and eat steak almost every fucking day. So I do have a little bit of background knowledge to throw at you guys. Um, I guess I'm just putting out some tips um, for any of you guys who have asked, hey, how do I make a steak? How do I make a good steak? Sure, there's tons of fucking videos online you can look at. I'm just giving you my own kind of take on it. The first thing, really, that's really important when you're making a steak is getting that motherfucker to room temperature. If you want a real tender, fucking good steak, that's one of the things that's very important. Two is the selection. I usually go for, because I'm a cheap bastard, I don't like spending a lot of money, especially when I'm fucking eating steak every single day. I eat steak for dinner almost every night. Because I'm a privileged white piece of shit, whatever you want to call me. I usually go for a top sirloin. If you can afford it, if you have a good fucking job and you can pay your bills and fuck your wife once in a while, go for a fucking filet mignon, or even like go for a prime rib. I mean, if you can fucking afford it. I usually go for top sirloin. On the cheaper end, I shoot for tri-tip. Tri-tips are one of my favorite cuts, and they're high fat, which for a guy like me who is generally on a high fat diet, it's a really good steak to use. The loins, the rib, stay in that area, up towards the back strap kind of area. Rib. Generally, if you want to get down into the chucks and shit, and again, I'm not a fucking expert on this, so feel free actually to tell me I'm a piece of shit and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, because I really don't. If you're going for a chuck or a bottom round, they're good. You can actually make them good, contrary to popular belief. But they take a little bit more doing. They're usually better for a roast, that kind of thing. I mean, you can look up. There's tons of different fucking recipes and all this shit. I've used chucks and stuff. Those the little tighter grain meat for stews and shit. They're really good for that. Something that you're going to be kind of boiling in a broth. The second important thing, really, is seasoning. A lot of white people like me don't like to season their food, and that's just the white people thing. Maybe we can learn from the brown folks from across the seas how to season our shit. Anything from I don't know wherever you're watching this from. I really don't give a fuck where you are. Anyway, there's this place called the World Market. There's this what is it? I don't know if you can see it. The Jamaican jerk from the World Market. It's a really good rub. Don't underestimate the power of a good fucking rub. Whether you're using your right hand to relieve yourself before bed at night, or if you're making a good steak, a good rub is very useful. After making steak almost every day, it gets really fucking tiring to be just like individually seasoning, pepper, salt, garlic powder, whatever you're using. It becomes a huge fucking pain in the ass every single night. So if you can also put together a rub, that's why I keep these containers. You put together your pepper, salt, chili powder sometimes I use. A paprika can be good. Like a smoked paprika is a really good seasoning to add. And this is just from my personal experience. I know we all have our own different fucking tastes and all that. These are just some tips to help you fucking cunts along the way. The other thing, I use a barbecue quite often. I barbecue all year long. Doesn't matter if there's fucking 4 feet of snow on the ground. I'll still open up that fucking barbecue because I'm not a pussy and I live in Oregon. So that's how we do our shit out here. When I turn my barbecue on, I bring it up to a high, get it nice and hot, and then right before I slap the steak down on it, usually you don't have to do it. It's not necessary, particularly necessary, but I'll use like an olive oil cooking spray, spray that fucking grill grate, slap the meat down, and I bring my temperature down to low. A lot of grills are different. Mine runs too hot. It's propane. It's a little bit too hot. I guess for the settings, there's not much. I mean, I beat up a homeless man behind a dumpster to take this fucking thing. So I'll set it on low. Put the steak down, slap the lid down, and put it, and time 5 minutes. What I'm usually, the kind of general rule I'm usually going for is if you have like a steak that's like normal width, maybe 1.5 inches, something like that. It really does vary with the width of the fucking thing too. So you have to be careful with that. A normal thickness steak, 1.5 inches, something like 2 inches. It's usually 5 minutes on each side. That's like a rare. That's a good rare. Nice and bloody, like you fucking animal cunts out there like it. And you giving me shit in my other videos for making a steak that's too cooked. Well, you know what? Some people like their steak well done. My girlfriend loves it. A lot of women like their steak well done. I like it. I like my steak about medium rare. Doesn't matter what I like, because I'm a dumb fucking cunt. Anyway, so it's kind of like 5 minute intervals. 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other. Take it off if you like a rare steak. Then if you want to do a medium, another 5 minutes on each side. But I do 5 minute intervals to kind of let that other side, in my own theory, kind of almost rest as the other side's cooking. That's probably bullshit, but that's kind of what I've found. So yeah, so you want to go, if you go 20 minutes tops on each side, then that's basically a well done steak, depending on the type of steak. So the thing that I like to do, the thing that I've been doing lately, is I'll do the 5 or 10 minutes on each side. Pull that fucking thing off, let it rest for a little bit. Heat up a pan to about medium heat on the stove, and then put a little bit of olive oil in there. Slide the steak on there. And it's gonna make a lot of noise. Probably gonna wake up your neighbors. Tell your neighbors to go fuck yourself. I'm making a steak because I'm a fucking goddamn American and I'm free. The second, right after you put that steak down, you'll already have some butter laid out, cut. I usually do. If I'm cooking a big steak, I don't skimp on the fucking butter. I'll do half a stick of fucking butter. I don't give a fuck. And the thing that gives you is a nice sear on the outside, and butter. I mean, who doesn't love a fucking bunch of butter on their steak? that gives you that butter sear, which is technically a reverse sear. And that's the way I've been liking to do it. It's super delicious. You just got to be careful, and you gotta try some shit out. I'm just telling you what I've learned, because it took me a couple of years to get to the point where I could really be confident in my steak cooking skills. I've made people sick. I've got my girlfriend really sick one time because I thought I was confident. Don't be overconfident, especially when you're cooking for other people. If you get sick on your own accord, that's totally fine. I mean, I've never gotten sick from eating a steak. It doesn't matter how rare it was, even raw in the middle. I heard recently that most red meats, or beef, or whatever it is, I think it's beef that they were talking about on a podcast I listened to, that beef is actually, if it's in good shape, if it hasn't been like warmed up and spoiled, and you'll know if it's spoiled because it's fucking rancid smell. It's a terrible smell. Smells like your fucking grandmother's pussy on a summer day. Sorry, I just went visual. I totally lost track of what I was saying. So anyway, steak is, I guess technically it's sterile on the inside. So basically all you really have to do, if your stomach is equipped for it, you can actually just sear the outside of a steak and eat it raw in the middle, and that'll kill the germs on the outside of it. Kind of cool thing to think about if you're in like a survival situation and you don't have a good fire and you have like a fucking lighter is all you have, and you're in the middle of fucking winter, that kind of thing. Kind of cool thing to know. So yeah, there's almost no such thing as a steak that's too rare. But if your stomach's not equipped for it, it'll let you fucking know. Let's see. Steak is a staple in my household. It's got everything you fucking need. You probably don't need fiber as much as you think you do. I eat a lot of steak, a lot of meat, mainly meat, but I've worked my body over to being able to handle that. So I hope that this little, whatever this is, was helpful for you, and feel free to share recipes in the comments. I know that there's a lot of people, I mean most people in the world are better at making a steak than I am, but I was just, like I said, just letting you know that I've got some ideas put together because I've been cooking for a little while. I just recently, in the last couple of years since I started this YouTube channel, been becoming passionate about cooking, and ever since I started this YouTube channel, I've been wanting to really help people out, maybe help some people get laid, because no person doesn't love a good meal, and the best way to a person's vagina or penis is through their stomach. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. I know that I'm a douchebag and I talk a lot of shit, but if you treat me well, I'll treat you well in the best way that I can. I always reply to comments, and also thank you for all the new subscribers. I really appreciate that. I know it doesn't really mean anything. There's 1,000 people that push that subscribe button that want to hear more from me. That's kind of cool in my opinion. Anyway, have a great fucking day. Kick those bitches out of the kitchen. I'll see you later.